Let's see if I've got the music dialed in here. Seems a little loud to me. Hold on. Let's try that. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully the audio is good. If it isn't, I'm sure you guys will let me know. All right. Sounds good. All right, so yeah, if any of you are just joining, I'm assuming there's a chance you may have heard of the plugin that I've been working on for the server, where it's going to allow people to pick their difficulty, which will basically just modify two main things: how long your items stay on the ground, so basically how long until they despawn, and when you first join the server, how much of a grace period where you're invincible. So just depending on the difficulty you pick, those will change. But of course, I couldn't make my life simple, and I had to go crazy with giving the server owner a bajillion ways to modify or change this. So just to kind of do a refresher, I wanted to kind of, I mean, we'll see it as we go, because what tonight's streams focus on is we have all the files in place now, and I've spent the last week or so building out all the functionality, and we're now at a point where every file is in, all the features are there, there's no errors, no warnings, and now it's cleaning up the way it looks so that it's really nice to look at and read. And so on top of that, not only does it look nice, but it's very descriptive on what each piece of code is doing. So as you'll see here, which I don't know if me making it any bigger is going to help, maybe a little bit. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Is there such a way to do that? I think the text might be the size it is. Hold on, maybe not. You know what? I can find out, because I think this is maybe this is a little small. You guys tell me. Is the text kind of hard to read? I'll wait for a little bit for a response. In the meantime, hold on. Oh, I got too many things going on. Too many things all at once. Okay. Let's do ask ChatGPT how to increase size in IntelliJ. Let's see if it'll tell me. File settings, preferences. Sure. File. Where are your settings? And then appearance behavior. Sure, maybe. Yes, no, maybe so. Maybe someone who's smarter than me. That did nothing. Navigate to editor font, apparently. File. Settings. Editor. Editor. Font. Aha! Maybe we'll go 16? That's better. How about even more? 18. How's that? I think that looks a lot nicer. A lot easier to read now. Okay. So, what are all the crazy things that I decided were worth adding in to really take this relatively simple idea of, hey, when players join the server, they'll get a little menu that lets them pick some difficulties, and based on the difficulty they pick, they'll, have an easier or a harder time on the server. Well, Could have left it at that, but I didn't. So the very first section, basically what this is going to allow the server owner to do is to hook into some other plugins that might already be on the server. So for example, on Minehouse, we have a plugin that as soon as you're a new player, you're asked to read the rules, and then after you read the rules, then you're allowed to play. Well, what this plugin is going to do is auto open after you've accepted the rules. So if this first option is toggled on, then you'll go straight from rules immediately into choosing your difficulty. Then the next one is basically if you haven't selected a difficulty once. So for all those people who've already been on the server a while, this is going to be a new system introduced, and so they would have already accepted the rules. So how do I trigger the menu to pop up for you to pick your difficulty? And basically, if this option is selected as true, which I'm going to leave the default as true, then when you join the server and the plugin detects that you've never selected difficulty before, it's going to go, open up this menu, put it right in front of your face, and ask you to select a difficulty. And then if for some reason there's some sort of issue with the plugin, something's not working and not behaving as it should, then it's going to just fall back to vanilla defaults. And that's what normal is. And that can be changed. That can be defined by the server owner. If they want a different default, they can do that. Then we have a couple of different options. Do we want it to be where as soon as you make a choice, you're completely locked in? You can't pick a new choice. It's permanent. That would allow the server owner to just change that to true, and all of a sudden that become the reality. And if we are going to allow you to re-choose, how often should we allow you to re-choose? So what's going to be the cooldown in seconds? So 86,400 seconds is 24 hours. And you could put 0 for no cooldown. Then how does that cooldown message look to you? And are you going to be required to confirm your choice upon selecting a difficulty? That's what this required confirmation is going to be. Okay. That's all. This is kind of just game design, letting the server owner pick how they want people to interact with this plugin. Then the next one is a despawn timer. So we have two different options, basically two different modes this plugin can operate in. To basically, one of the core components is how long your items are going to stay on the ground based off of the difficulty you pick. And so if we want, we can limit it to only be death drops. So we're going to ignore all the stuff that you would randomly throw out of your inventory, and those will just have the vanilla Minecraft default of 5 minutes. But however, that's only if this toggle is turned to true. If we turn it to false, then we're going to basically say anything that you as a player throw out of your inventory, whether it's through death or just dropping stuff on the ground, we're going to apply that timer that you've selected as your difficulty timer. The amount of time until that item despawns, and then just to avoid the potential that people might try to troll each other, there's also this feature that the server owner can toggle on, which currently is set to true, to prevent timer downgrade. And basically what that means is, let's say someone they've selected a really easy difficulty of, I've got 30 minutes to get my items back, but then another player's chosen a really hard difficulty and they only have 1 minute. Well, it'd be a really mean thing to do to go pick up the drops of that player who had 30 minutes for their items, and then you throw them out to be a jerk, and now they've only got 1 minute and they disappear. So what this toggle does is basically prevent that they're never going to downgrade. A person with a lower timer picking up the items that previously had a longer timer are never going to shorten the timer. It's just going to maintain what it had before. And then we have the way that the actual menu looks for you guys. So this is just a little helpful tip for the server owner to understand that, like, hey, when you're designing and you're picking which slot the little icons are going to go into, pay attention, because that first top left actually is considered slot 0. And so this kind of gives them a visual representation, like, oh, if I want something here, oh, that's going to be slot 20, and if I want something here, that's going to be slot 23. And then this is where they would actually define the options for what difficulties you have available to you. So we give it a name, and then we choose a slot number, then we basically control right here how many seconds you have if you choose this difficulty, how long of a grace period, basically how long are you invincible when you start the server, if this is the difficulty you pick. And then you have the way that that icon looks and the name of it, and even down to its lore, and that's for each individual difficulty. So for right now, I've started it with normal, easy, very easy, hard, and hardcore. And these are all completely customizable, but how I want to do it is if you choose normal, that's going to be vanilla defaults, no grace period, you've got your standard 5-minute timeout. That's what you should expect. Then if it's easy, that'll increase to where you have a 10-minute timeout on your items, and you have a 6-hour grace period. Very easy, you'll have a 30-minute timeout and a 24-hour grace period. And then hard makes it go the opposite way. Instead of 5 minutes, you only have 2 minutes. And then hardcore is all the way down to 30 seconds. And again, these are completely customizable. I just think this is, and this can be changed at any time, but this is kind of where I thought some good defaults would be. Then, so that I don't have to think about like all the additional ways someone might want to use and control what happens when you select a certain difficulty, I added this commands that you can run. So basically this would allow a server owner to tie into any other plugin that they have that, hey, player chooses hard difficulty, I can then run these other commands and do things like give them a kit or give them a custom tag in game. So like when they chat, maybe you give them a little prefix or something in tab, whatever. The sky's the limit, and that's basically what this section is for. Then the next section is about the grace period. Are we even going to allow grace periods at all? And that right now it's defaulted to true, but you could easily turn that off, and then that feature, that part of the plugin is just eliminated. And then we even have override worlds where there are specific worlds that the grace period just would not apply to, period. So even though you're technically invincible, the moment you go into these worlds, it's as if you don't have any grace period at all. Again, these could be commented out. You could choose not to use these at all. And then we also have the ability to show a reminder to the player. So periodically, based off of some options down below, we can remind you how much time you have left in your grace period. And that can either be you get reminded in login, on intervals, or both. And if it's on intervals or both, how often to repeat that reminder. So right now I have it at 1800 seconds, which I believe is 5 minutes. I can't remember. And then if you are going to be invincible, what should you be invincible against? So right now, I basically only have void damage and fall damage, but I could add all kinds. There's even like a little helpful tip and then a full list link provided for the server owner. So my plan is that, basically anyone can interact with this plugin, see this config, and know exactly what everything does. And even down to if they want to make changes, they have an informed decision of like what changes are and what options are available to them. The next section is about GUI settings. So this is controlling the actual behavior of how those menus even look. What's the title? How many rows? Do we fill any of the empty slots? And then do we close the menu after you've do we auto close the menu for you after you've confirmed your difficulty? And then this was one that I asked you folks about earlier in chat. And this was saying, hey, if you didn't, let's say for example, hey, Dragon's Breath. Let's say for example, you as a server owner wanted to control what options players had based off of permissions, and you didn't want to give them every single player access to every single player difficulty option. You could restrict that with permissions, and then what should we do about the ones that players don't have access to? Like if they don't have the permission, should we outright hide all the options they don't have available to them, or should we just gray them out? And so that's what this little section is for. And this was one that I asked you guys about. Some of you seemed like you really liked the idea of graying them out, and I was like, Cool, we can do that. And then we can give the server owner the option if they prefer to just hide them all together. And then for this next section is about that second menu that's going to pop up. Once you've picked a difficulty, it's going to ask you to confirm that difficulty, assuming that confirmation is basically enforced. And this is all about how it looks, how many rows, what to fill the blank spaces with, and so on and so forth. Then we even have sound effects for the plugin. And these are going to be like when you open the menu, when you... Yeah, thank you, Dragon. Yeah, we're getting very close. 3 away from affiliate. We're at 22. I appreciate all you guys. Yeah, so to kind of jump back here, we have sounds for when you open the menu, when you confirm a selection, when you cancel a selection, when for some reason you're trying to open the menu, but you can't. Maybe the choices are locked. Like once you pick, the server owner said, once you pick a choice, like that's it, and you try to open it anyway, you'll get this sound. And then if you were on cooldown, like let's say they didn't make it where it's locked, but you have to wait a certain period of time before you can pick again, and you try to choose a different difficulty anyway, while you're still within that cooldown, you'll get a different sound. And the volume and the pitch are all controllable. There's even a helpful note about how if you're wanting to support Bedrock players, you do have to be careful with the sounds you choose. And I even provide a link to where you can go to view the whole mappings of, hey, this is this sound in Java, which equals this sound in Bedrock, and which are and aren't compatible. But just to make your life a little bit easier, here's some commonly well-known ones that are definitely safe to use, that Bedrock can understand. And then if for some reason you wanted to manually override a sound that was a Java sound and specifically say this sound equals this sound in Java, that's what this section allows you to do. So that's assuming that, you know, the sound doesn't play properly on Bedrock, and that also assumes that you want Geyser support, which is how we allow Bedrock players to play on the server. Then again, there's a mapping guide provided, and this is where you would choose what other plugins you want to tie into. I also went as far as adding holograms. So when you have your items on the ground, assuming holograms are enabled, and if you have the right permission, if permissions are required, and on and on and on, then a little hologram above the items will show up saying how much time is left until it despawns. And then the last thing is how often we're going to update that hologram. So there's no reason to go anything less than 20 ticks, but if for some reason that was causing performance issues, you could increase it, as a server owner, and do 40 and make it to every 2 seconds or every 5 seconds, whatever. The sky's the limit. And then also placeholders. So if for some reason the server owner wanted to use some of these numbers, or like if they wanted to display how much time a player has left in their grace time or what difficulty somewhere else, like maybe they have a scoreboard or something, then they could hook into this well-known plugin called Placeholder API, and we would even go as far as registering those placeholders so they're valid placeholders that can be used, and then they can use them wherever they want. And then we even have the ability to we don't care about requiring permissions for the commands of the plugin. If you want, you just turn that off, and then everyone has complete access to all the plugin commands. But by default, we require the permissions. Then you'll even have some welcome messages. So if you've chosen a specific difficulty and welcome messages are turned on, you could potentially get a message every time you join, or only when you make that selection. There's also a debug mode, and then also a developer mode as well that can be turned on. And so I created a entire messages section where every little bit of the plugin and all the messages it would display to the users is completely customizable, down to even a little guide on how you should be expected to make changes. So for example, it's common that people make this mistake where they might have an opening tag, but then they forget a closing tag. And so this is just kind of showing, here's what an incorrect one looks like, and here's what a correct one looks like, and here's some placeholders that are available to use. And just the goal is that this is a very user-friendly experience for the server owners. They know they're in complete control, and they know exactly what they're changing and how to change it in a way that's going to work. So this is all the messages throughout the entire plugin, completely customizable. With that out of the way, the goal tonight is going to be where we go into each of these classes, and we're going to do what's called refactoring. And refactoring is a term, as far as I understand it, and I could be wrong here, but as far as I understand it, the goal of refactoring is to not make any changes to your code that would change its behavior. The goal is purely to just add comments and maybe restructuring, moving some bits of code around so that it is more legible, more readable, and more understandable, so that not only you as the developer, but maybe even future developers can come in and understand why each piece of code is there and what each piece of code does. Now, you could go very light on adding comments and refactoring, but considering that this is a new I'm new to plugin development and I am utilizing AI, I'm going to do that again to do refactoring so that we get really, really, what's the right word? Verbose, I think is the right word there. Comments. I want a lot of comments. I want them to be very, very detailed. I want them to look nice, and so that I can come back to this in the future and go, oh yeah, that's what this code does, and that's why I made that choice. And so that's basically what I'm going to try to train ChatGPT to do based off of an example of one of the files that is pretty close to what I like. And I'm going to tell it, hey, apply this same styling to the rest of these files. And then once we get all the refactoring done, we'll actually be able to compile the plugin, put it on a test server, and see what happens, which I'm pretty excited about. So here we go. First up, I gotta find which file it was that actually had the styling that I like. So bear with me here just a second. And it's gonna be a little flash of me jumping between files, so I apologize here. It's gonna be a lot to look at, a lot of nonsense, but it'll be over shortly. I think it was. Is it you? I think so. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's tell ChatGPT it's time for refactoring. Oops. Here is the comment style I would like to follow. Use this as a guide for the files we found to refactor. Again, this is just for reference. Okay, hopefully it understands that. We're going to find out pretty quick. Perfect. This is a clear, structured, and visually distinctive comment style, headers and markers. Okay, perfect. Okay, here is the first file we are going to refactor. If I can spell. All right. Let's see what it comes up with. Let's see if I can kind of make these half and half. There we go. That's a little bit better. Collapse this a little bit more. All right. So it kept things very much the same up here at the beginning. So I keep it. I've liked keeping this separate just for me to kind of visually understand it, where I have my package on the first line, then I have all my imports from other classes within the plugin, then I have my imports from external like APIs, and then I have my imports from Bucket, and then my imports from Java, and then I launch into the actual class itself. And so that's what it is looking like. Is it's remembering that that's what I like, and it looks like it did indeed grab. Okay. This looks pretty good. Let's hope it didn't make any mistakes. Okay, this little green checkbox at the top tells me no problems were found, so that looks promising. Okay, let's move on to the next one. It handles the help menu, filters by permissions. Yep, looks good. And again, I am going to go kind of quick and fast here. The code's already all been written. It shouldn't be changing any code. It should literally just be making it more legible and more readable and more understandable to what each piece of code is doing. So I'm just kind of quickly skimming here. So basically hidden behind the scenes is actual commands. And so these individual classes that I'm currently working on are basically controlling that behavior. Technically, they're what's considered, I think the right terminology here is arguments. So if you've ever typed in a command that's like /home, and then you have to define a name of your home, those that second group of words, and even if you had to do like home Arzor base and you had to put, a name and then a location, those are all considered arguments. And then you have basically different levels. So I've split up my arguments into different classes. Technically, they're all under like one main command that then has these like add-ons. So that's what we're going through right now. So this is the help command, and just cleaning it up, making sure that we understand what's going on. I'm just checking to make sure it didn't just randomly decide to just delete something, which it can do. Green check mark at the top. I mean, quick skim plus that seems pretty good. I mean, we'll find out if all of a sudden something doesn't work. Be like, it changed something on me and it was not supposed to do that. Alrighty. So, next one. Give me just a sec. The lights are dimming in my home. Need to turn on a light. Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay, let's take a look. What did it do here? Good, that's good. It just moved this guy up. Group it with that, which is nice. And then let's go. And you. Okay. So just to kind of read through like one of these, for example, if I wanted to run this command, which would check basically a player's current difficulty, It's going to be smart enough to be like, well, you got to be a player, and then if you don't have the permission to use this command, sorry, not going to happen. And then it knows how to go grab what the different difficulties are, so it's not just going to make up a random difficulty for you, and then it's going to basically send that information to you. So that's essentially what this code is doing. That's what these little headers are letting us know, and kind of piece by piece what happens when you run this command. So anyway, and then this is like the main command that handles all those arguments. And so you can see that it's basically just a bunch of calls to these other files, these other classes that we've created. This one looks pretty good already. I don't see what it's going to change. Here is the next one. Oh, just added a little note to the top. And then little notes next to each of these. I'm happy with that. It's good. Okay, moving on. And one of the things that I was learning to do, and maybe this is overkill, but I really broke down logic on what's the right word here? I broke up all the different parts of the behind the scenes of what actually makes the plugin tick into these packages. So this one's handles all the commands, and so they're all organized in this little folder, if you will. And so all the different stuff that has to do with commands is grouped together, and all the stuff that listens to like what happens in the world and when a player does this and when the grace period ends and when you click on a menu, and all that stuff is all under this listener group, and then there's a manager group and placeholder groups and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of files, but it's a very granular way of being able to understand and not get like confused where what piece of code belongs to which class and under which package, if you will. And basically it's just, I know that if I want to go manipulate something to do with the reload command, I know exactly where to go. I know it's going to be under the folder commands or the package commands, and I know it's going to be in the file or the class called commands reload. Easy. I mean, sounds maybe easier than it is. But this is just a skill that I'm still very new at. I will completely admit that, as you guys have probably already know. So this is just me trying to learn, and maybe I'm being a little bit overkill with this, but I like it. It makes my brain happy. Makes it very organized, especially when I'm new at this. Okay. I'm just going to collapse that back again. Yep. Okay. Next is you. And so this one's a really interesting one. This one is the debug command. So this is the one that you're going to see when I'm doing testing in game. I want to have a quick access command that's going to basically let me see a lot of stuff all at once, and give me a really good overview of what's working and what's not working. So that's basically what this whole file or class is all about. Yeah, it's good. Don't like that it switched to this. Hold on, did it do that before? Oh, I wasn't paying good enough attention, I don't think. Okay, we should lay out the ground rules. Sometimes you've done this style, and sometimes you've done this style. Which was, hold on, let's find one. Masterclass header, it was always going to look like that. Section headers look like this. Subsection blocks. Okay. I think these should be flipped. I think the style for 2 and 3 should be flipped. No, okay. Okay, more like, sheesh. What? Goodness gravy, it's giving me a hard time here. Yes, this is going to be this. Two. Want to look like this. Yep. And then 3 should look like you. And then 4. You have this correct already. Okay. Let's see if it figures that out. Yes. Let's go back and redo with this styling in mind. I'm glad we didn't get too far. I guess it just decided it wanted to pick one. Let's go back and start over with styling this one. See if we got it right. Hey! Look at that. Okay, this looks good. Okay, next one. Yep. Looks like it figured it out. Playing some ground rules looks like it helped a lot. Sometimes it just has a mind of its own, and I can almost guarantee you there's going to come a moment where it's just going to randomly decide to switch back. I'll be like, hey, what did we just say? Because it loves to do that. Okay. Next one. That's good. Utility. And be a player. Yeah. Okay, good. I think it's got it figured out now. We'll find out though. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Look at that. It did do it. Good job. And again, we're just refactoring. We're not trying to change any of the code. We're literally just cleaning it up, making it look pretty, making it legible, understanding what it's doing. Looks like it got rid of some stuff. Yeah, what are you doing there, bud? Hold on. Getting lost. Well, I am getting lost. Okay, yep, that's that, that's that. Okay, yeah, this doesn't need to be a large header now. So it shrunk it down. And then, yep, there's the holograms. Aha. Okay, now we're on the same page. Okay. Nice, and then it broke this up. Realized we needed a header there. Okay. Okay. I think I need to lay even more ground rules for it. Okay. Show me what the turn rules are. Okay. I want to use even more inline comments. We should understand as if we are, we should understand as a beginner what each piece of code does. We want rich but concise comments. Lots of them. Let's see how it handles that. Okay, this is good. And one final note about comments, inline comments. Inline comments is let's pay extra attention to code that is performing math, and we should have a really good comment explaining the math. So if we wanted to change it in the future, we know what we are working with. Yep. I think that comment is more about what we're manipulating and less about math itself. Basically, I want the comment to talk about the equation. Right the whole time. A combination of both is what I am looking for. Oh, actually, hold on. That's perfect. Let's roll with this. Uh-huh. Let's do a pass of looking over this file. Okay. This should be the last that I have to kind of teach it what kind of commenting style, and then it should be good to go from here. Okay, let's see. Yep, let's the exact same. Just for clarity, I wanted to make that a little more obvious. Sure, we'll clean up that comment. Oh, see, yeah, it is going into greater detail, which is exactly what I was asking for. I just want, now that the lines are broken up more, it's harder to make sure that it didn't skip over anything. Oh, so it's great. Okay. Oops. Why did I click there? Okay. On to the next. Yay. Yup. Okay. I am totally missing in-game chat. Hopefully nothing too crazy is going on. I've been very focused. So here, let me actually do this. This might be a little bit better. Now I can actually see. Okay. Like some people are having some fun with a warden. Alright. Back to this. Yep. Yeah, so it's done. Yeah. Okay. Looks good. Next one. Scroll up. Get all of our imports correct. Looks like the styling is good. Made that a little bit more clear. Okay, yeah, I think that's even better. Next. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, next. It's going to be really interesting to see once it gets beyond these kind of more simple files and gets to the more complicated, like actual listeners and managers, how well it's going to understand what the code is doing and then make good comments. Please show me the updated in chat, please. It was like, yeah, I did it. Look at this. It's like, yeah, I reviewed it and I made sure all the comments were good and everything's good. You ready to move on to the next file? I was like, whoa, you never even, actually shared the code with me. You didn't show me what you did. Show your work. That determined there was no work to be done. Oh, see, it did add a little bit there. Yeah. Oh. Later, Spellbinder. All right. And all right, I got sidetracked. Seems like we could do a better job with inline comments on this one. All right, yeah, it seemed a little lacking. Just knock back. Okay. Yeah. It's better. Yeah, this is more what I was looking for. But then it stopped once it hit this. And then you stopped once you hit. Yeah. Oh, you silly thing. Yeah, everything before this, you doing okay. Okay. It's a little tricky to read. Sometimes it likes to do this thing where it like hits things down to like the next couple of lines, so that it's like can be read, but sometimes it throws me because I'm not used to seeing it like that. Like this, it reads pretty well, and all of a sudden it starts doing this, and I'm like, whoa, 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 what are you doing there? Okay. Leave it more like this. Oh, come on. Why does sometimes copy and paste just like straight up not work? I wonder if it's going to show the exact same. Yeah. Okay. Please show me the first half again with this in mind, with all the rich inline comments still. Okay. Come on. You can do it. Maybe yes, no, maybe so. What is it? Man, now it's being weird. The heck, you darn thing. I only need to add bridge comments to this section. Come on. I think I confused it when it broke it up into the two different sections. Like you did for this bit. Okay. Doesn't look like everything. It doesn't look like you did everything. Where is the rest of it? Oh my gosh. Oh, you dumb things sometimes. What is it doing? So now it only went to here. Ah. Okay. I mean, no, 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 no. This is all. Let's start over on this file. That's when it got weird. Yeah, let's start over on this file. I don't know what the heck it's doing. Here it is again. Like it was at the beginning. See? AI, great tool, but then sometimes does retarded things where you're like, what are you doing? I thought we had established a pattern. We had 4 files that did great, and all of a sudden it just decided, I'm gonna change things up. I got bored. Please do not break up the file class to multiple sections. Show me the full refactored class all in one go. Try again. My goodness. So I mean, you gotta watch it. It just decides to randomly go haywire. And you're like, what? You got the ground rules. Make sure you are following them. How is it this dumb sometimes? I mean, granted, I'm trying to have it be way faster than me refactoring all of this, but my goodness. Alright, I'm gonna have to go back up and be like, this is what we agreed to. My gosh. I got it wrong so many times. I'm like, where was this? There's a lot of scrolling. Sorry, folks. Update to the ground rules. Come on, you can do it. Thank you. I'll follow these rules exactly. Let's keep it. Yep, exactly. Okay. Okay. With that said, please refactor this class. It shouldn't be doing anything there. There. What? Come on, man. I literally just told you the rules and you're already making up. Where did you get this from? That's not what we decided on. Unbelievable. Okay, once more. Didn't think I'd be fighting with it this much. It's just mind of its own. And then 4. Five. Hey. Please. Your memory to use these ground rules. Holy smokes. I'd like to get where we're like moving through these files, but my goodness. Okay. Okay, time to prove it. Please read after this file. There we go. We're getting somewhere now. Okay, I think we're finally where we can move on. My gosh, that was a pain. Okay, next. Know it can do it. It's just working through its weird little pains. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Next. I mean, it'd be nice to actually get to the point where we can see it actually working. I mean, that is the goal. I think what I might do is, because we're not actually modifying any of the code itself, I'll go through these last 3 commands with the refactoring, because now that it seems like it actually figured it out, I want to kind of get to a good like natural stopping point. Then let's try to compile it, and let's actually see this thing run. I mean, that's what I really wanted to get to tonight. I thought the refactoring would go way quicker than this, but I've had to battle with ChatGPT being stupid. So here we are, an hour, and we haven't even gotten to playtesting yet. So I think that's going to be the change of plans here. So appreciate you guys bearing with me. By any means, if when we get to playtesting, you guys have any questions or comments or feedback on what you like or didn't like or thought could be improved, definitely let me know. I apologize if you hear my cat in the background. He's a talker. Okay, that was reset. We have set. These are pretty small. Now this is interesting. We see this bit here, which is that bit there, but then it just all of a sudden added this in. Yep. Otherwise, it was on a roll, and then all of a sudden it just was like, yeah, I'm just gonna add in this extra. I didn't have that bit of code before, is what I'm asking. This did not exist in code, and you added it. Why? Okay. It's sounding like it purely is cosmetic. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we'll call it good there for refactoring. Let's see if we can actually build and compile. Hold on here. It's oh gosh, it's been a moment since I've. Well, I think I just double click on package, but I'll double check here. What do I click under Maven? Under life cycle, double click package. Okay, that's what I thought. Let's see what happens. Success. Okay. That's what I like to see. And now I just have to apply it to the server. So give me a sec to do that. And then we'll jump into the test server and see what happens. Well, actually, to be fair, I do need to do maybe a tiny bit of configuration, but maybe not. So I'm just gonna kind of organize some files on the server side. Okay. I gotta move some files around, so bear with me here. Just want to make the test server nice and clean environment so that when we go to test this one, we're not accidentally like getting bad information because there's still stuff left over from other tests. Okay. So let's grab you. And I'll also need a permissions plugin. So I'll make sure to add that to the server. And I'm having some trouble getting that transferred over. Why? Okay, let's just go grab one. All right. Hold on here. I hate when it does that. Okay. Let's go grab firms. I'll grab that. That'll be our missions plugin. And then we also have the ability to tie into a couple of other plugins. So I'm going to go grab those. The first one being accept the rules. And then what else do we do? A tie into. Oh, let's get that to go away, get that to go away. Let's look back at our config. So we also had integrations with Geyser, as well as placeholder API and decent holograms. I'm just gonna go grab all of those. Holograms, permissions, accept the rules. Yeah. Yeah. Goodness, what is it with this? Oh, we're having some trouble trying to upload some stuff to the server here. Try this. Just go all the way out and try to go back. Let's try this again. They're decent sized files, but there's, my goodness, should not be struggling like this. Getting disconnected trying to transfer a file. Let's try that one more time. Come on. Oh my goodness, what is this? Never had this hard of a time trying to get a file transfer. My goodness. Maybe 15th time's the charm. This is crazy. Alright, I'm gonna hope that it uploads correctly, because usually what happens is when it struggles this hard to upload, then that kind of tells me that it might have uploaded with some errors, and that's not a good sign. I mean, like, sure, I uploaded the file for you, but it's corrupted and it's not actually going to work. So we'll see. Granted, these are just some plugins that I'm adding so that we can do some testing for some of the additional features, but they're not the core plugin that we're going to be testing. My goodness, this is wild. Okay, actually close out the entire program itself. Oh, gotta love random like bots. Find random streamers and just like try to post different links and stuff. And that's why I have the moderation set really high. Okay. And then last but not least, let's grab placeholder API. Okay. Wow. Yeah, nothing wants to go smoothly tonight for these transfers. All right, that should be sufficient. I'm going to go ahead and restart the testing server. All right, start it up. And the first thing I'm going to actually be looking for is part of that debug was to have it where when you start up the server, it will give you some ideas that everything is kind of started up correctly. So placeholder API, it thinks is not installed or not enabled. Interesting, but it's there, so we'll see. All right, so I jumped over to the testing server. Let's see what happens. All right, so we need to do /rules apparently, which I haven't set up or configured, so who knows what the defaults are. Oh. And accept. And then let's see what happens. Okay, so that's maybe not tying in correctly. But this is working. You're getting some stuff about missing messages. And some good debugging in the console, so it tells me that there's an invalid sound name. But this is what it would look like. We've got normal, easy, very easy, hard, and hardcore. So let's see what happens if I were to pick easy. Well, there's the problem right out of the gate. I can take the item and then nothing happens. Okay. And then looks like all of our messages are having issues. So there's something about the messages that it is not seeing, which is kind of fascinating considering we go into messages. We have, for example, this last one. This is going to be really small. Hold on. So it's claiming that we have a missing message, debug reloadables -entry. Yeah, there it is, right there. Okay. Well, that certainly tells me that all of our messages are failing, and that's going to cause some immediate issues. So without that, we're kind of stuck. But that does kind of tell us that, like, hey, the plugin compiles and we've got all the pieces. Now we just have to figure out why they're not working. I think that will be for another stream though. So yeah. Okay. Well, I will continue to work on refactoring, getting this code nice and pretty, nice and legible, and then I'm going to try to get to the point where I can at least have the message open. We can click stuff and kind of do a run of what it should look like and get to the point where it's actually like show offable. And then if there's little minor tweaks and stuff, that's what I'm hoping to get to. So on that note, I think I'm going to end the stream there. I'll continue to do some more work. And on the next stream, I would hope to have this ready to try again, where we're jumping in game as soon as the stream starts. We're going through seeing how to interact with what the plugin might look like, and then seeing what else kind of gives us some trouble. So on that note, thanks everyone for joining. And chat was a little quiet tonight, but as always, if you have any questions, if you have any feedback, or I'm going too fast, or even if the sound's not balanced, or whatever have you, feel free to send me a little message. I'll read it, and I'll try to respond as quickly as I can. So, alrighty. Well, on that note, thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching me stumble a little bit there. But yeah, we're in a pretty good spot. As rough as this looks, the fact that all of the components are there, and we're actually able to pile the plugin, put it on the server, and we're not getting any major issues. I mean, yes, missing messages annoying, some little notes about invalid sounds, but I'm not too fussed about that. I think those will be pretty easy fixes. On that note, I hope to see you all in the next stream. Take care, everybody.